And hey, we're back. It's the What the Hell Everything podcast. My name is Smitty. Thank you so much for checking this out. And it's been a while since I've been on the microphone, so to speak. I've taken a good long time to kind of get some new ideas going and a plan for those new ideas. I think I talked about it several months ago now. And just changing the way I do this podcast, which, historically, it has been a very, been a very ADHD sort of podcast. We're going in this way and we're going to do this. We're going to add this. We're going to do this. This sounds like a good idea. Let's fucking do this. And if there is one thing that I know is would be considered and could be considered a fault of mine is that, I could be a little more focused. So that's the goal of this kind of this new form of the podcast. I actually kicked around ideas to rename it or rebrand this sort of thing. And these podcasts are going to hopefully focus on one idea or one story and could include some original writing and things and presentations, things I'm trying to get back into, that creative element that I just kind of need to do. When I say creative elements, writing and original stories and things like that, I can't say that they'll ever see the light of day. I can't promise that because I'm in the beginning stages and I am writing and I am working on stories and things just because I feel like I need to do it. I'm liking what I'm doing so far, but I'm the only critic here. So I'm the only person that can give the okay for it to get published or not published. That's not the word. I don't want to be a published writer necessarily, but to put the story out there is a big step for me personally. And I might not think it's good, but I'm working on it. That's all I can say. So, kind of again, this new fangled way that I want to do this podcast is just to kind of focus on one idea or one story at a time. Maybe involve some research. It'll take days to kind of maybe come up with it, and hours to kind of formulate it and just kind of present my best thoughts, hopefully. That's what we're going for. My mediocre thoughts were getting in the way before. Now I'm trying to have some good thoughts. So the idea behind today's podcast is a dream that I had, and I've actually had this podcast written and recorded already. And I wasn't really happy with it. I wasn't happy with the writing, the actual podcast. I did it to get the ideas out and be like, okay, this is kind of what I want it to sound like. But I'm tackling this later, months later, actually. And it's about a dream I had. And what's fucking crazy is that I still remember every single detail of the dream that I had. And I bet you I recorded, just off the top of my head, I think I recorded the dream days after it had initially happened, and still, it's in there. Now, I don't usually talk about my dreams, and I usually don't even remember my dreams. They're so abstract and weird and strange and revolving settings and the occasional chase by demons dream, which is totally explained, doesn't explain a lot. It is easily explainable. And I would say most of my dreams are very adventure-like and discovering things and exploring things. And I don't remember a lot of details, except the one about my dead grandma a couple months ago where I was looking at her and she was a beautiful young woman in the dream and she turned into a fucking ghastly ghost. But that's only because I watched House on Haunted Hill literally that night, idiot. Grandma, don't ever do that again. It hasn't happened since, thankfully. But not many nightmares. But in this particular dream that I'm referring to, I was in Ireland in a pub and in the middle of the daytime, bustling crowd. You can hear the crowd noise, and I'm looking at myself. Out of body experience type of looking at yourself. Then the me that I was looking at turned around and realizing that the other me had the absolute worst, greasiest mullet that I've probably ever seen. Like, nothing personally against people with mullets, but god damn it, like that shit wasn't cool back then. And it's just worse now. I think it's the worst thing that has happened to white people. Is mullets are the worst thing that has happened to white people, you know? But god damn it. And not to mention, a couple dudes that I know will give me a hard time for some reason, even though I have long hair now. But at the time, I didn't. And coworkers were saying that I should be this ridiculous, like, local superhero. Like, locally, there's the Petoskey Batman. People just dress up like superheroes and walk around fucking town. There's the Traverse City Bigfoot, who just dresses up like Bigfoot and walks around, is famous for being like like Bigfoot. They said, you should have a mullet and be Captain Mullet. And I'm like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard of in my life. Why would you even suggest something so ridiculous? Well, they're pretty fucking persistent that I should be Captain Mullet. I'm not going to be, but in this dream, boy, was I ever fucking Captain Mullet. Oh my God. The greasiest, grossest mullet that has ever existed in the history of the world. And I've seen a lot of fucking terrible mullets in northern Michigan, man. Anyway, I could hear people in my head laughing at me and whispering like a booming echo. And I woke up like right afterwards and I was like, oh my God, I know what that's about. Like, I've really been able to lately kind of look inward and kind of figure myself out. I'm not all the way there, but boy, I'm trying, you know? Why the fuck the way I am? And the way that those like whispers from the people in this pub in this dream were echoing in my head. That's living, what do they say? That's living rent free in there forever. And it explains so much. It's the dumbest shit in the world. I think it's called imposter syndrome. You know, I materialize thoughts in my head that nobody's once ever said or implied. You know, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Then it becomes, who the fuck do I think I am? You see how you project that, you know? Shut up, Smith. You got to tell yourself that stuff. Although I'm trying to be nicer to myself. I have to admit that. So I'm trying to like tone it down and be like, you don't have to beat yourself up about it, you know? And I am actually trying to be nicer to myself because seriously, as much as some fuckfaces want to say that words don't matter, yeah, they do. It's usually the ones you say to yourself. The ones that are said to us early in life become trauma. You can get over that trauma, but it totally ends up with you projecting those same things onto yourself. And the more you say it, the more you say it, the more you say it, the more you fucking believe it. You know what I mean? So you have to have positive things in your head. It is essential. It is crucial. You know, you hear you're stupid, you have a dumb laugh, or you're fat. You have toe thumbs, or whatever the fuck else shitty things you hear about over and over and over again about yourself. I don't have toe thumbs, but I know somebody that does. And then, you know, you're lucky enough to have multiple traumas. You can turn that into good old-fashioned self-hatred. That's fun shit. There's going to be somebody probably listening to this and going, Smith, bright side, you got a point, positive conclusion to anything you're fucking talking about. Actually, there I go again. Nobody probably said that. But there's a bright side, absolutely. Humongous bright side. I'm aware enough to know that none of what my brain tells me about myself are facts. The facts are that I grew up with zero self-esteem and real anxieties and depressions when it came to socializing with groups of people. I'm figuring that stuff out too, and that's fascinating. I'm actually really into my own brain right now. Talking one-on-one with somebody I know and I'm comfortable with, I'm fine with that. I'm a charming, funny dude. Give me a group of people that I never feel quite comfortable around, I don't say a fucking word. I am such a withdrawn person to the point that certain people in different groups that I've been in before are shocked when I became a radio personality. They're like, I didn't even know you said fucking words, dude. Like, I used to get bullied pretty hard in high school to the point where I'm surprised I made it out alive sometimes. Like, the constant source of the bullying came from kind of a group of friends. You know, I was a kid in the group that everybody made fun of, terrible acne. So there's always ammo. Anytime I tried to make a joke or stand up for myself, you just got shot down and just mocked and mocked and mocked, and that's where not all of my anxieties, but a lot of them came from. The major ingredient. When I dropped out of high school, because I really couldn't fucking take it anymore, man. Better leave school than be dead. And I didn't think that back then. I wasn't suicidal. I can tell you that. I can tell you, I just don't know how I wasn't, because it was pretty fucking awful. So I just went out like in a terrible high school career, dropped out, became like a petty criminal, like a little ass fucking wannabe gangster in Walled Lake, Michigan with a bunch of fucking poser ass friends. Fucking up property, stealing little B&Es here and there, going down a bad fucking road. Then somehow, like I just kind of quit the life of crime at 18. I said, well, this is stupid. I'm not doing this anymore. I remember the exact moment. I was in the 12 Oaks Mall in Novi, Michigan. It was a Fab Five book. It's the Fab Five about the Michigan Wolverines freshman class of 1991. No, what the fuck year was that? Anyway, Fab Five freshman team by Mitch Albom. And I'm like, I'm taking this. My buddy says, hey, I'm leaving. And I just walked out with it. I wasn't thinking about stealing it. But as soon as he said he was leaving, I'm like, all right. And I just walked out with it. And I'm like, holy shit, that was way too easy. I can never, ever do that again. I just kind of fucking said that's it. And then I didn't really know it at the time, but I knew that I needed to get out of this path that I was on and decided, okay, I got to get my GED so I can go in the fucking army and try to get some kind of college money. And here's the fucking kicker. When I went in the army, I took the ASVAB test. It's the Army Aptitude Test. It was the first job I was offered as a high school GED dropout, was a fucking linguist. Recruiter was just as shocked as I was. A linguist? What? Like I went in to become a paratrooper because that sounded rad. I'd always wanted to jump out of planes, and I knew that, as a dropout, I was destined for the infantry. They call it grunts for a reason because I had zero formal education. A linguist. That's fucking weird. But I told the recruiter, I'm like, well, how long is that? He's like, a 7-year enlistment. I'm not doing that. And that linguist job offer, by the way, is largely responsible for me wanting to be multilingual. Like I want to learn languages as I get older. But I feel like there's got to be a reason for that shit, right? Your brain probably is good at language, and I know it is. So I did 3 years in the Army with the minimum allowed GI Bill for high school dropouts, and was a good enough soldier. And I actually found confidence in myself there, but not like self-esteem. I got out of the Army and I got married because I thought that was a good idea. That lasted a couple years. Odd jobs, bartending, fucking fertilizing lawns, sold vacuum cleaners, you name it. And at like a low point, I was 30, and I just kind of had, I don't know any other way to describe it, a little mini nervous breakdown. What the fuck am I doing with my life, And I said, all right, well, I'm just going to use the GI Bill, go to radio school, and ended up at the best possible place for me. The company in northern Michigan that just let me kind of do anything that I wanted, And I found that, God, I was so good on a microphone, way better than like talking to actual people. I couldn't even, it's hard to put into words. But I found out that I could actually be comfortable being me, like on a microphone, be funny and engaging, Still didn't get self-esteem though. Confidence grew, but not self-esteem. That's realizing, I'm figuring this out. Self-esteem is realizing that not one single person is better than you. And in addition, and probably more importantly, you're not better than anybody else either. I'm really good at that part. I already know that. But I really struggled with the other for a long time. I always called it like groups of people that I thought were cooler than me, that I didn't feel comfortable with. And that's just another way of fucking saying that you're not as good as somebody else. And it's hard to realize that, but it's also really fucking liberating to just realize how little you've thought of yourself your entire life. Let me say that again. Not one motherfucker is better than you. I also use motherfucker as a term of endearment. I, too, am a motherfucker. The reality and the conclusion to this rambly fuck of a story, you just got to remember who the fuck you are, man. I started from nothing. I overcame challenges, mistakes, divorces, bad jobs, bad relationships, bad moves, bad decisions. Always charged on and improved, even if just a little bit sometimes, you know. Got a little better, a little smarter, a little more talented, more in touch with myself, and aware on some level, especially recently, that I'm an artist and I've always been one my entire life. And I never felt comfortable calling myself that, but I am now. And that's helped a lot who I am and who I've wanted to be my entire life. And I'm finally embracing that now, you know, finally committing to exercising that part of my brain and finally showing myself that I can be creative, and I know that I need that shit in my life, despite the intense fear and fully intending on fulfilling that need for me. And I don't even have a fucking mullet, so none of that bullshit you told yourself was true, so knock it off. Hey, thank you so much. These podcasts are going to supplement the Smartman Show podcast that I'm doing with Cartman, a.k.a. Brian, or Brian, a.k.a. Cartman. We'll call them either or. You know, they're interchangeable. Smitty, Nate, same thing too. Check those out, and more of these are going to come. I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to Ireland in a year, just over a year. So you're enjoying this, please, you know, sub it. Subscribe to whatever platform you check the podcast out on. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. I love killing the camera. I just love knowing that I'm not on camera. I do the video for reactions still in the Irish channel, Smitty Learns Irish. But for this, man, I just love not having a fucking camera on and just yapping. Please enjoy your day. And please, and thank you. And that's all I got for today. How do I get out of this? Just get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out.